Welcome back to the Get Off the Treadmill podcast for small business owners and entrepreneurs, where we show you how to build a successful business and to have a life too. We're going to dive into another topic that helps us make more money in less time and to get off the treadmill so we can experience a life of significance. And now, your host and the author of the #1 best-selling business book, Making Money is Killing Your Business, Chuck Blakeman.
Today, I'm talking with Clayton Achen. He is the visionary driving force behind Achen Henderson, a modern virtual CPA firm that focuses on helping small businesses succeed. Clayton is a small business advocate, a tax ninja, cloud accounting and technology enthusiast, and a lifelong student of culture and leadership. His dream is twofold: to be at the forefront of the evolution of the accounting industry and enjoy his life while helping other clients enjoy building their businesses. And Clayton also hosts a 3 to 5 club CEO mastermind group to help business owners get off the treadmill and make more money in less time. Welcome, Clayton. It's great to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chuck. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And tell us just where you live and how you ended up where you are. Is this always been home for you?
Yeah, I've been in Calgary for 42 and a half years that I've been on Earth, with a short stint down in Lethbridge, which is pretty close to the US border, for university. I think I was voted the least likely accountant by all my friends when I made the transition from, I kind of went from being, when I was 18, I wanted to be an avionics person, work on airplanes, did a year of that, and I ended up in a sales gig, and I really enjoyed sales. And so I dropped the avionics thing and just went and sold stuff and, cell phones and sort of consumer electronics, and built really high performing teams in that area. And while I was doing that, I decided to move down to Lethbridge and go to university. And the company that I was working for in Calgary actually chased me down there and said, "Listen, I want you to open a store down here to sell, cell phones." And I said, "Well, I'm going to school full time." They said, "Well, what do you need?" I said, "Well, I need you to pay for university." And they said, "Sure." And we built out of this little, rural town in southern Alberta, built one of the highest performing teams in Canada. And we were getting flown to Toronto to ride on yachts and stuff for like our, for our sales accolades. And I thought, man, this is really great. And I ended up in accounting through university just because, I just threw a dart at business, and I happen to be best at accounting because, I have a logical brain and all that. And here we are today. And what I've come to realize is this is actually, accounting and law is actually the ultimate backstage pass in terms of helping business owners, right? And so, but it took me until about 2017, which was 11 years after I started the journey, or 10 years after I started the journey in accounting. But 4 years after I started my business, it took 4 years of grinding away before I finally went, you know what, I had my daughter, which was our second child. And what else happened? The government sort of ripped the carpet out from under us on a bunch of tax planning we'd been doing. So I had a lot of phone calls to make to angry people who'd spent a lot of money on tax planning with me. And I went, I got to start doing things differently here because I'm just grinding and I don't like grinding. And then I read your book. And then things started to change. We hired you guys, and here we are, right? Fast forward a few years, and now I'm doing everything I can to advocate for and help business owners sort of, go through the stages that I've gone through.
Well, you're doing a great job of it with the impact you're having with your 3 to 5 club with business owners up there, and being able to take over Canada. So we're excited about you continuing to grow there. I hear what you said. You had what Michael Gerber in his book from 1985, The E-Myth, called an entrepreneurial spasm.
Yeah.
And at some point we just get sick of doing this for somebody else and realize I'm making those people a lot of money. I wonder if I could do this myself. And overnight we have this spasm and we end up in our own businesses. So today I wanted to you had mentioned walking through the 7 stages of business ownership, which is in the book, Making Money is Killing Your Business. It's my first book. And how those 7 stages of business ownership impacted you. So to get our listeners started, since this is also a video podcast, I'm going to bring up a visual. And for those who aren't watching, we'll run you through it quick. The 7 stages of business ownership very quickly. A startup is the first stage, and startup is that emotional, hey, this is really fun, this is great, all the vision, none of the problems. And then you print a business card and you're in stage 2, survival. And survival is where you're losing money and you're losing time. It's taking all your time and all your money. And the operative emotion in stage 1 is what's fun. This is fun. And operative emotion in stage 2 is, I didn't think it would be this tough. And then stage 3, we get to stage 3 at some point where we're breaking even consistently. And the operative emotion there is, well, this is great for a moment, but it's kind of like living on the edge of a cliff. I could get blown off of this break even thing. If the business stops, then if I stop, the business stops, but at least I've got something. And then stage 4, stability. And stability is where we would have, in the past, I think you and I would have called this the American dream, or even the Canadian dream.
Yeah.
This is where, your business is making money. It's profitable. And you can buy a hot tub and go on vacation. But there's something missing from your business in stage 4, even though you're making money. So I'm going to stop there. We'll go through stages 5, 6, and 7 as they're appropriate. But I'd love for you to give your thoughts on, first, maybe why this thing is helpful for you, or how it impacted your business as you walk through those stages from startup to survival to subsistence to stability.
Yeah, I think, just to go back to the real basics here is, I didn't realize this until later, but entrepreneurs typically aren't good at business. They're usually craftspeople, or, and I was there, I was a pretty good salesperson, still am reasonably good salesperson. I'm a reasonably good tax person. And so I got to blow through stages 1, 2, and 3 really quickly. We bought a business early on. And so that business produced income. It didn't cover costs for maybe 6 months. We were dragging, but in the business I'm in, most of the capital is what's in your head and your experience in life, right? And E-Myth was, you talked about E-Myth. E-Myth is another good book at explaining this, but not in this systematized way of stages and where am I? And it was really a nice barometer to check in and go, where am I here? Like, where am I here and where do I want to be, right? And I've always been a goals focused person, but when you're starting your business, you're not thinking about, I want to have 25 team members and 10 weeks a year of vacation. Like, that's not what you're thinking about. You're just thinking about paying the bills and getting going. And so just seeing the 7 stages really helped me identify where I landed in them, which helped me go, you know what? I don't like being here, right? I don't like being here. But furthermore, and this is really particular to our industry, most big firm accounting partners are stage 4 people. They just are. And they're never going to get out, because that system of big accounting firm, and I'm talking like the big ones, right? Where there's hundreds of partners.
It's all about making money.
You into stage 4 and you don't get to leave. You do not get to leave stage 4. And that was my future at the old firm. So it was
a lot of money and no time.
A lot of money and no time. And so that was really it affirmed why I left there 4 years ago. But it also gave me something to point at and get started on building something bigger, right? And so, I only just got out of stage 4 probably a year and a half ago, right? And I'm clinging
to your point,
5,
Clayton, I think, we always need to ask why. It's the most important, least asked business in question. Why don't most business owners ever get past stage 4? I think in some cases, they don't know any better. I didn't, until I put this thing together for myself and realized, hey, I don't know where I am. What are the stages of the business? And we developed this over a few years with a lot of help. And you get to where you find these things. And to your point, now that I know where I'm at, I either like it or I don't.
Yeah.
But before, I didn't know if I liked it, or if I didn't know if I didn't know if I didn't like it, because I didn't know where I was. So it's been super helpful to me over the years to realize, because you never stay in one stage. You never just go neatly from this stage to that. You go backwards, the world hits you with a punch and you go into stage 3 again. But at least I know where that lets me know what the next thing is I need to do and whether I'm happy or not. And it gives me those other stages to shoot for and say, this is where I want to spend most of my time, stages 5, 6, or 7. So you just got out of stage 4. What was it that worked for you to get you out of 4, where you're just making money, to get into 5? And 5 is where I would say that's the first one. We would call that stage 5 success. And the reason we call that success is because it's the first time in our business where we regularly can get time not just money, but we get every Friday, and the business still makes money without us, so we don't just shut the business down. Or we take Wednesday afternoons off, or we regularly get time. The business is providing us time as well as money. That's stage 5. So how did you get to that place where you recognize these stages? You didn't like stage 4. What did you need to do to get to stage 5?
Yeah, it was
what was it?
Yeah, it was resources. So until 2017, 2018, George and I, my business partner at the time, and Carol was here as well, but we went, no bums in chairs, as in we're not going to hire staff. We're just going to do this all ourselves. We've got a target income that we want to make. And we got there, and it was just us, and we outsourced some of our work and whatever. But what I realized was, in order to move beyond this, I need leaders here and a team here who can actually do work to get me out of the doing, so where I can actually focus on strategy and growing my business and growing our business. And then once you start, I'm an accountant, so once you start reverse engineering that, you go, okay, I need whatever it is, $900,000 of salary. Or if you're, you can bring it right down and go, okay, I need a person. I need one person. I need $60,000 worth of salary. Okay, well, I need to go and get 150,000 more sales for that to work out with, covering their overheads. And so you start reverse engineering this math and going, my team that I think I need to be in stage 5 looks like this. This is what that costs. And how are we going to make the revenues match the cost? And it's not a cost, it's an investment, and having people around sufficient to get you out of stage 4. So it's funny because I've had a few people join our 3 to 5 clubs as guests, and they come out of it going, I'm just not going to grow a team. I'm comfortable in stage 4. I like just doing my thing. I'm well insured. If I get hit by, that's always my question. Are you insured? And they go, yeah, I'm not going to grow a team. I don't want to do that. So this stuff is completely unapplicable to me. And I go, yeah, that's fair enough. So for me, it was growing the team.
Yeah. Well, and you said something really important in that, in the middle of that. You said you were reverse engineering, and that immediately took me to Stephen Covey's, one of his 7 habits, start with the end in mind.
Start with the end in mind, yeah.
I was privileged. We were just beginning to get to know each other. He quoted me in his last book before he left us. And I've always been a big fan of that one habit in particular, because it goes to the question, what do you want?
Yeah, what do you want?
And we don't ask that. Even when I've started 13 businesses, I don't think it was until the last 2 or 3 that I actually asked myself, now, what do I want from this? Because we kind of make a lot of assumptions about what we want. Well, of course we want money. And then we assume a lot of things will come as a result of having money. So in stage 4, you had money, but you didn't have time. Yeah. And getting to where you understood what you wanted, either stage 5, 6, or 7, or a combination of those, that gives us the clarity to have the hope to take the risk to grow the team.
Yeah.
And
it was a risk. That's a risk.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But
in my mind.
Point, when we have clarity about what stage we're in and then what stage we want to get to, and we say, I want to be there, I have clarity about that, then we can be reverse engineering. Well, how do I get there? Here's where I am. Here's where I want to end up. Here's the delta. Now, what do I do about that? So it's so powerful to start with the end in mind in so many ways. And I love that you emphasized that in getting from stage 4 to stage 5.
Well, and I had a 3 to 5 club member, Peter Mitchell, great guy. And he'd retired. He's retired. He's in his 70s, and he came and joined our 3 to 5 club just because he really, really liked. He saw this presentation that I do your talk on the 7 stages, and it's attracted a lot of people because it gives clarity, a lot of clarity. And when I hit stage, he was there in my club when I hit stage 5. And the next thing in your book is to start working on sort of lifetime goals. And I'm still having a really hard time with that, right? Like, what are my lifetime goals? Because I'm so buried right now, and I just want to be at my breakfast table and my dinner table. I want to take a day off a week and go mountain biking with my kids. And that's all that matters to me right now. Yeah. And later, we'll worry about later. And Peter, during our club, said, you know what, Clayton, you don't need to have it all figured out right now. You've got the important stuff figured out right now. Don't worry about you. Just relax on yourself about your lifetime goal for now. Just take it easy on yourself.
That is so smart. I've done that so often. When you have 3 things to work on, you tend to get all 3 of them 30% done.
Yeah.
When you get one thing, you get the one thing done, and it pushes you 30% closer on the other two.
This is it. Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And so the other thing that that I'll mention is, I spent 3 months this year back in stage 4. I do like compliance season in a tax firm. I'm needed. It's all hands on deck, and we've got some complicated stuff that moves through the office that, maybe it's me and one other person that could sign off on it. And so I admit to my club every time we hit this time of year, team, I'm going back into stage 4 here for a little while. And so my next goal, it really is to bring in the competence into the firm so that I don't have to dip into stage 4 for 3 or 4 months a year every year. But I'm still, so when I say I'm in stage 5, I'm in stage 5 for most of the year.
Yes.
Right?
Well, and I think that's really important for people to understand. I said this before, but I'll say it again. These stages, they do come consecutively, but it might go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 5, 6, 5, 6, 6, 5, 6, 7, and then you continue to work with that. Life doesn't fit neatly in a box. And my businesses have always been strung out across basically all stage 5, 6, and 7. Bits and pieces of them are in 7, parts of them are in 6, and parts are in 5. Let's give people that so we can, people are probably saying, well, what are these stages? So Clayton, you went to stage 5, and that we call it the big mindset shift, where you're not just making money, but you're building a business that makes money. Stage 5, success. And we call that success because it's the first time that we get to where we both have time and money. I think like 5% of business owners ever get there. And it's not because it's not possible. Everybody who decides to get to stage 5, with rare exceptions, gets there. It's just that we never thought to do it. We never intended to do it. So you intended to do it. Gee, what a surprise, you got there. And you will float back into 4, sometimes 3. But this is an encouragement to get as high in stages as you can, because the thing I've experienced is, if you're in stage 5, you can float back into 4 or 3. You can go 5, 4, 3, 5, 4, 3, 4, 3, 5. You can do that. But if you're in stage 7, you go 7, 6, 5, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
It's a different floating. So stage 5 is success. Stage 6 and stage 5 is where you're really putting processes in place so that other people can take the business and run it at least 1 day a week. And stage 6, you're now putting leadership in place. And we call that significance. When you've got other leadership in place, now you're taking maybe 1 day off, maybe 2 days off a week, and regularly taking a week off in your business, because you have other leaders in place who can handle the business for a whole week, or maybe 2 weeks, or maybe a month. And then stage 7, we call that succession. And we think of succession very differently than we traditionally do. Whenever you hear succession in a business, we think, I'm getting the heck out of here. I'm selling this thing and it's going to be off my back. But if we build a business that is giving us this kind of freedom, stage 7 succession looks more like, I think I want to work 1 day a week, and that's it. Or I don't want to work in this business at all. I just want to show up once a month and have a meeting with the leaders and see how it's going. We don't have to sell it because it's not an albatross on our back. We've got freedom in our business, not from it. So you're in stage 5, 4, 5. I'm guessing there's parts of you that's floating into 6 as well. I can give you an example of how one of my pieces was in stage 7 when I went to New Zealand a number of years ago for my business maturity date. When I got back, I actually had to call somebody and say, where do I go for work? Because I knew they were going to do this, but while I was gone, they found a new office and moved into it. That's a stage 7 business. I'm not involved in that and don't need to be. And then there's other parts that are in stage 5. So, just for our listeners, can you see where floating 4, 5, and 6, you might be doing some of that?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I am regularly now getting, I don't know if you've watched what's happening in my industry, in the accounting industry, but private equity is taking over. Private equity is scooping up accounting firms like crazy right now. Grant Thornton US, I think BDO, it was BDO or RSM. I can't remember. One of them sold to private equity. So I'm getting calls from private equity firms kind of all the time now.
Wow.
And I've had 2 merger conversations with mid-market firms. And I'll always have the talk. I want to know what my options are.
There is a price.
And I talked to one of the mid-market firms that's probably the closest aligned to our firm's values. Called me yesterday and said, and this was just yesterday, and said, hey, where are we at on this? I'm like, well, here's the thing, I'm not working 55 hours a week. I've got a great team and a great culture here, and I don't want to disrupt that. And frankly, my infrastructure is better than yours. And they're like, yeah, well, we could get you out doing BD all day and you wouldn't really have to do file work. And I said to him, and this kind of blew his mind. I said, I've spent the last 5 or 6 years building a web engine where work just falls on my lap without me having to do BD. I don't want to do BD. Like, this is like, I want completely automated. I want a full pipeline with me not having to work for it other than creating content like this.
Well, you know, I think,
And, you know, it's like, and so, you know, having those conversations though makes you go stage 7, stage 6, like,
right.
where do I want to be? And it's really eye-opening to have those offers at the doorstep. And I'm very blessed
Yeah.
to have those offers at the doorstep, but it makes you think about where do you want to be, right?
It
And it's
does.
pretty good where I'm at.
Yeah, and one of the things that has helped me to have offers like that in the past was to realize that the business somebody wants to buy is one I shouldn't sell.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
they don't want to buy a job. If you have
Yeah.
a job and they see you as the owner doing a job, well, if they buy it, then they've got a job. But if they see you as not having a job and having freedom in your business, and it's still bringing you the revenue you want, they want to buy that. And why would I sell it?
And
So
why
I think,
would I sell it?
yeah. So I think that's the beauty of being able, again, to have utter clarity on
Where you're at.
Yeah, and building a business that gives us that freedom, which is why we call it freedom mapping. To get these things done. Well, you know, we've just touched the tip of the iceberg here, and there's probably 20 other things we could talk about, but I would rather leave our listeners and our watchers a little frustrated. So they can get a hold of you. Where can they get a hold of you for more information on this stuff and how to get a hold of you for accounting and as well as for your 3 to 5 club and just helping them learn how to go through these stages?
I mean, I love entrepreneurs and business owners, and I would welcome a personal email from them, Clayton at achenhenderson.ca. That's ACHEN Henderson.ca. You can go to our website, achenhenderson.ca. It's probably the best accounting website in the world, but maybe just Canada. And so you can check us out there, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Clayton Achen. I post a lot of stuff. A lot of it is sort of anti-Canadian government stuff, but I try and do some leadership stuff and some tax stuff and all that. So
great. Well, I'm excited for you. Keep going. Let's get you as far up those stages as you want to go. Appreciate your work and appreciate your influence in the world around you.
Chuck, I appreciate your book, man, and how it's changed my life, and the 7 stages are so important. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
That wraps up another episode of the Get Off the Treadmill podcast. If you found this podcast helpful, please subscribe and hit the like button to ensure you are receiving the latest tools you need to grow your business and to get off the treadmill. If you want more information on the 3 to 5 Club, the Crankset Group, or to book Chuck as a business advisor, speaker, or workshop leader, you can contact us at GROW at cranksetgroup.com. Until next time, have a great week.